Hello bass family and welcome to Everything Bass. Hey, we're moving on with tapping pattern 16, and it's a single line. It's a single string line, I should say, where on one string we're using a tap pull off with the right hand and moving the left hand. When I first started tapping, a lot of my stuff was keeping the left hand in one place, moving the right hand around. And when I first saw a guitar player doing this, flipping the script where you just tap the same note with the right hand, but you pull that tap off to a lower note, which is what I demonstrated at the intro, then you get a whole nother kind of palette of colors and some cool ways to play little like solo lines, little turnaround licks, things like that. And this, of course, is just a drop in the ocean, whereas the concentric rings expand, you can take it and develop new ideas and new grooves. So let's get the basic mechanics, and I'm going to start with just two notes, one tap note and one fretted note, to kind of get the basic idea down. And we're going to be tapping the 17th fret C on the G string. That doesn't change. We're going to just tap this. Every other note is a tap C on the 17th fret. For already, if you can do that, you've learned half the groove, or half the pattern. Now, the action you have to get down, and it takes a little bit of time, but I don't think it's going to be much of a roadblock for you, is if you hold down the 12th fret G, and I'm using my pinky just because I know what's coming ahead and I want it to be consistent. But if you hold down the G on the 12th fret and practice tapping that C, and instead of just lifting your finger up, which doesn't give you the lower note, you tap and pull a little bit. So it's an action of tap, and then you pull the finger up towards the sky. And as you do it, you're kind of plucking. It's like a quick pluck, and you can actually do it quite fast. Now, I did learn something from Billy Sheehan. He used to come and do these open counsings at Musicians Institute, and he always talked about putting, when he's doing some of his tapping, taking his middle finger and putting it behind his index finger, and it makes it more rigid. It keeps it from, like when you have one finger, it can be moved around. It can be a lot really kind of flimsy. By putting this finger behind it, now it doesn't move as well side to side, and you can get a little bit more mass and tone, I think, out of it. So I adopted that technique. So practice that, just those two notes. And once you do that, you're going to find that everything else kind of is much simpler. Now, let's put pause on that. You've got that action down. Let's just isolate the left hand and what you're going to be doing fretting-wise. You're going to, and remember, you're holding the note down almost like a capo. You're not tapping down. You're holding down this, and you're going to then go to the F on the 10th fret, E, back to the F, then you're going to go back to the E, down to the D, go back up to the E, go to the D, then go down to the C, then you go back up to the D, go C, B flat, up to the C, B flat, A, and we end on the B flat. So you see, there's kind of this pattern. I will pluck them just so you can hear it, but this is not how they're the action of playing. You're going to be going like that, okay? So this takes a little bit. Once you've got that basic tapping we talked about earlier, tap, pull off, tap, pull off, tap, pull off. Now you have to get your timing down to when you can change the lower note. So when I tap the C and pull off, when I tap the C again, I'm holding down the F, so when I pull off, I'm on the F. And you may just want to start with that. Can you toggle between the G and the F? Good place to start. When you can do that, then it's just a simple matter of playing the left hand notes in the sequence I just showed you, and getting your sequence down and getting your coordination down where you can go. And that's the whole phrase, a little faster. I actually snuck in a bad note there, but it actually brings up a point. More and more of you have messaged me and said, hey, can you always tell me why you chose those notes to tap? And that's a great suggestion, because it's a question I had when I started. I would see these great guys like Stuart Hamm and Michael Manring and Joe Brenner, all these guys who were amazing tappers. And I would always curious, well, why did they choose those notes? And you know, and when you have the basic mechanics of tapping down, The real question is what to do with it. So I understand the question, and I'm going to answer it right now. If you look at the notes that I'm using on my left hand, I'm starting in C. So obviously, that's the predominant consistent tone. That is my tonic. That is these notes are from some C scale. So if we want to learn what scale I choose to make this, you can look at the other notes: G, F, E, D, C, B flat, A. If I had played a B natural, which that one mistake I made in my last demonstration, I played a B natural the first time and then I changed it to a B flat. If I would have played the whole piece but play a B natural, it'd be the C major scale. But by me taking that B and moving it down to a B flat, that's a minor 7. I've now created C mixolydian. So this is a phrase I would play over a C dominant 7 chord. So it's a great question. Now also what that means is, if you're industrious, if you really want to like explore this to its nth degree, you can take any C scale, even pentatonics or blues scales, and move the left hand to stay within or diatonic to that scale, but keep that C consistent. And you're going to be able to hear it like, what does it sound like to do C Phrygian? What does it sound like to do C Lydian? All this great opportunities for you to really orally hear all the different characters of those scales with a kind of a wild technique. All right, so tapping pattern 16 is literally just the first step in taking this technique of the tap pull off with the plucking hand, the plucking hand, and changing with your left hand. You're going to have a world to explore. Sometimes you can just use it for a little bit of a phrase, even just like one beat, 4/16 notes, da da da, and then go back to something else. It's really a useful tool of expression, because I don't think there's any way to mimic that comfortably with standard playing. So if it's something you're hearing that's going to convey that emotion you want or give that energy to the track, then this is a great technique for you. All right. Hey, moving on to our encore item, and I'm stoked about this because this is one of those albums from my past that, even though he's not a bass player, made me a better bass player in this technique. So let's talk about him. This is from 1985's album Magic Touch by Stanley Jordan. It's a Blue Note recording, and it's phenomenal. Stanley Jordan, guitar player, 6-string guitar player, and primarily electric guitar. I say that because that's all I've ever heard him do. But he, in a quantum leap forward, took the simple tapping, single string tapping, and tapping a lot of the hair metal guys and a lot of the shredders were using, applied it to chords and applied it to chord progressions, and took jazz standards or Broadway tunes or even common songs and worked out this. I mean, it wasn't a small evolution of the tapping technique. It was a major leap, and it dropped everyone's jaws who were interested in it. What was great is then you had, I was working at a guitar store at the time, and there were people that did not really get into shred, did not get into, they weren't really fascinated by tapping, but they were fascinated by this album. And I think anytime you can have an artist open the minds and show people who had previously thought a technique was silly or stupid and show them the value in it, I think it's phenomenal. I was very moved by this album. Let's talk about a couple tracks. My favorite tracks of his are the covers. And I guess it's because I'm familiar with the song, but he put such a fresh light to it. The opener, Eleanor Rigby, Beatles tune, great tune. Wait till you hear what he does. And his technique is a lot of chords with the left hand. He does a lot of great 8-finger like runs and stuff, but I love where he takes a chord, but he uses the right hand tapping to embellish and maybe a couple of hammer-ons down there, and totally recreates Eleanor Rigby in a cool new vibe. He does the same thing with Miles Davis's Freddie the Freeloader, Round Midnight. There is a tune, I didn't do enough research on the origin, I didn't see who wrote it, but the tune All the Children is so beautiful. It instantly just puts me in a really cool mindset when I listen to him play All the Children. And then listen to Fun Dance. If nothing else, listen to the Sick intro, and then see if you can borrow that idea and put it on the bass. Man, this album, Magic Touch, 1985, Stanley Jordan, should like open your mind to like, oh, I could do that. And that's what we should be listening for. It's very cool for us to listen to other bass players and try to incorporate elements of their music into our own. That's very cool. But don't stop there. Drummers, guitar players, sax players, piano players, all these people that you admire. See if you can like pull some of their musical concepts into your own playing, because what will result is when you can borrow from all these different sources and different musicians is you're going to make yourself truly unique. The risk when you like take one person, if you're a super fan of Rush, which I wouldn't blame you, I am, but the only influence you have is Geddy Lee and you just take all from him. Some people say, well, you're just stealing his style. But if you took a little bit of Geddy Lee with a little bit of Billy Sheehan, a little bit of Stuart Hamm, a little bit of Jeff Berlin, grab some Jaco Pastorius, Stanley Jordan, take Jordan Rudess from keyboards, Neil Peart on drums, Buddy Rich on drums. You take all these things and you incorporate them, then you're going to be wholly unique to anyone else on the planet. And I think that's all kind of what we want to do. We want to have our own voice. So if that is you, if I just described you and a desire you have, check out this album. And I think if you're interested in tapping and you want to see and hear just what someone did with it that's phenomenal, I think this would be money well spent grabbing Magic Touch Stanley Jordan. All right, guys, I'm going on and on and on because I love that album so much. Well, thanks for stopping by. I really enjoy showing you these tapping patterns. I hope you're enjoying them. Please share your comments in the section below. You can also do the channel and the family a great service if you just subscribe to the channel. I'm tantalizingly close to 900 subscribers, and I'd love to get over that hump on the way to 1,000 subscribers. That would just make me so happy. Also, if you could like this actual video, every video you watch, if you just take a moment, if they have value to you, if these have helped you expand your musicianship and get past plateaus on the bass, then it would do me so much of a favor if you could just hit the thumbs up for every video you watch. Because not only does it make my heart happy, but it also makes YouTube happy. And when you make YouTube happy, they do nice things for you. All right, so like, share, and subscribe. Do all those things. Please join us on our Facebook page, which is awesome. You can search on Facebook, Everything Bass with Dale Titus, and you'll be able to come and hang with us there daily. I post daily questions, comments. I share different videos. I share music that's important to me. I just try to get conversations going so that we can all have an outlet and feel heard. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you at the next video.